Good day to everyone. Welcome to yet again, I hope, another interesting conversation for our Lunch and Learn series that we started about 3 months ago, I think. And week to week, we came and everyone contributed so much to different conversations from different thought leaders. Today, we're going to have a wonderful discussion on Agile project management. Really, what is the purpose of Agile? Why Agile is so important? What are some of the main differences with Agile and other best practices in the industry? And really and truly, I'll always tell persons, is it necessary at this point? Is it something that is needed more and more now? The Agile way of doing things. I'm Shivani Sinarayan, and let me say thanks to everyone so far for joining us into this conversation. Feel free at any point to post anything in the question in the chat, and definitely we'll answer it. So let's get cracking, right, on Agile. Now, Agile is necessary. When you hear the term Agile, you'll always hear, or you'll be thinking, is change, is something you have to be quick. So the word itself, it makes you feel that you have to be very fast. That's Agile. You have to be quick. You have to get things done quickly. And I wanted to start the conversation with that main point, which is people think Agile is doing things quickly. And because, Alicia, many times people believe when you do things fast, it's not done well, you know. But of course, that is just sometimes persons thinking, and I'm here really to show that that is not true. You know, you have a very good understanding of what you have to do. So in starting this talk, many times people ask, do I really know the entire project if I am practicing it and using the Agile way? Or is it that the traditional way of doing projects, where I have to know the entire plan before I could execute it, is better? And then I say, using Agile, if you want to use Agile, do not think that Agile is, you don't have to plan. With Agile, you do plan, right? So I want you all to know that with Agile, you do plan. The question is, do you have to have the entire plan before you execute or before you implement? Because the traditional way of doing any project, as you know, is I must have the entire plan before I execute. And now what we are saying with the Agile is that I don't have to have the entire plan before I execute. And then you'll say, well, if I don't have the entire plan, how could I execute? And what we are suggesting that Agile will do for us, we are looking at the project, we have an understanding of the entire thing, yes. We're not planning in detail, but you see the first 2 weeks, the first 2 to 4 weeks that we're going to roll out something, we know that aspect. We roll it out and then we test and then we come again in next 2 to 4 weeks. So Agile immediately tells you, think about any project that you have to do, right? Think about any project. And your project would have a beginning and will have an end. Yes, that is a project. That is the definition of a project. You have the beginning and you have an end. Do you know the entire plan up front? Do you know the entire plan up front? We are saying with Agile, it is not a detailed plan that you have, but you know what you need to do. And then you say, you talk it over with the people, collaborate, and then you say, all right, for the first 2 to 4 weeks, what are we going to plan in detail and what are we going to execute? Then you show it to the client say, good. Then you move to the next 2 to 4 weeks again, where you start to plan and you plan in detail and you execute and until you complete. So, you know, Alicia, think about it that this way is still planning, but I'm not doing all of the planning up front. This is what this Agile talk is about. I'm not doing all of the project up front, the planning that is. But if you ask me what is my project, I'm supposed to be able to tell you at the beginning, this is what I need to do, this is what my requirements are, this is my achievement. I need to build a house, these are the stages that I have to do. But every 2 to 4 weeks, I'm going to plan in more detail and I'm going to execute. You have to think, would this work in the environment that you are in? But Agile, it is just a way to get the job done with better quality. We'll see. You'll tell me if you agree. So let's look at a little presentation now on Agile. And then we'll take it from there, right? So as I said, anyone would like to ask anything, get in the convo, feel free. So Shivani, Agile. I'm just going to show you some main points of what Agile is about. When you hear the term Agile in your projects, I want you to think of this. There's a framework to do Agile. Agile is all about value-driven delivery. And that is the buzzword now, as all of us will know. When you have to do a project, whatever project it is, it must give value. It must give value. Then stakeholder engagement. Agile is about engaging my stakeholders. Boosting team performance practices. With Agile, it is about people. You have to ensure that people understand the goals, people understand what they have to do. You as a project manager in an Agile, and for those of us who are in projects and heavy projects will know, in the Agile way, you don't really say project manager, you say product manager now. You could still have a PM in that way too. However, it's a team that is doing the work for you. The people telling you what you have to do and telling you the durations. Whereas in the traditional way of doing projects, we don't do it that way. We say, okay, it's 20 weeks. We're going to take 5 days to do this task because we may be the SME. So we will plan it out and we will tell you what the durations are. But you know from experience, telling people what the durations are, if you always go over because you are not doing it, you are not the execution person. So that's why we say, well, boost team performance practices. The team will tell you. And then and another word is adaptive planning. That is what Agile is, adaptive planning. It is not a static plan, because I may have started overall, and then I am moving every 2 to 4 weeks. I plan it. This is what it is supposed to be. I show the client, I show Alwyn, I show David, we see what it is, and then we say, no, we need to refine. It's not what it is supposed to be. And could you go back and redefine? Yes, and you change. It's adaptive planning. And the reason that this could work a little better than traditional is that I'm not waiting to show you the entire plan before I execute. Every 2 to 4 weeks, I plan and I execute. You see, you put your point. You say, okay, no, we don't want this. You have to redefine. Next 2 to 4 weeks, what we're going to do? Next 2 to 4 weeks, and we go on and on and on. But with Agile, you are seeing something, a deliverable, a feature. There are different terminologies for it. You are seeing something that you could now, improve on if you have to, but in a shorter space of time. That is adaptive planning, where if you were building a house and you're using the traditional way or a shopping complex, you plan the entire thing and then you show the client, right? With Agile, you're not doing it that way. You're looking if you can do something every 2 to 4 weeks. It's shorter sprints, we call it, or shorter iterations. Part of Agile again is problem detection and resolution. Now think about it like that. If I am doing shorter sprints, I can get the mindset that I could solve problems quickly and I could, have better resolution. That's what you want to do, because we continuously see from a project management point, things not going according to plan. Things are not going according to plan because you plan. You have the entire plan, and then only then you're going to implement. Things get obsolete. So, especially for certain types of projects, in technology projects, we use this all the time. You might say in construction, you can't really use it. And so this is a lot of work that we are doing with Agile in construction. And what we are seeing is that you might use a hybrid approach where you combine two approaches for the best way. So again, folks, we're looking at what, remember, as we say, we're going into 2023. We have many projects that people want to do. Could you use the Agile? Could Agile work for you? And if you don't take away anything from this conversation, take away this thing. Agile is saying every 2 to 4 weeks, I plan something and I execute it. I plan something and I execute it. So that's your learning nugget that you take in throughout the conversation. Could I do my project that way? Could I now say 2 to 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, what could I do? And when you do shorter sprints or shorter iteration, we are seeing that you could pivot easily, you could change. And remember, that's another buzzword, pivot. You have to change, it's adaptive planning. You could solve a problem quickly because you have time. 2 to 4 weeks is a shorter problem too, that might happen. And it's continuous improvement. That is what Agile is. Continuously improve the process, if you want to say, every 2 to 4 weeks. Because every 2 to 4 weeks, I am showing my clients something, I am showing people something. Every 2 to 4 weeks, I am showing you something. So Agile is about value. What am I showing the client? It's all about giving you value. Now, when you think those terms, remember to always, traditional way of doing projects is initiate, plan, execute, monitor and control, and close off. But when you start a conversation with people and say, what is the value of doing this project? You want your team, everything that they are producing for the client, or everything they are producing for the customer or the stakeholder, every 2 to 4 weeks, we see in something. Every 2 to 4 weeks, we see in something. Continuous improvement. So I'm going to show you just different things here that tie us up, right? First part of when you do Agile is value-driven delivery. Value-driven delivery. What is value-driven delivery? Look at this. Prioritize based on value. So remember we said to Alwyn, every 2 to 4 weeks, what are you doing? How do you determine what you have to do, Prudence? How do you determine every 2 to 4 weeks, this is what you're going to do? Prioritize based on value, right? Prioritize based on value. What is value? Perform retrospectives and adaptation. Those are big words, and what it really means is that you, at the end of the 2 to 4 weeks now, Prudence, I am saying what? I'm saying, did things go right? What I should do differently? That's a retrospective, a lessons learned, and then I adapt. When you do value-driven delivery every 2 to 4 weeks for the client, you're defining acceptance criteria because you are not supposed to wonder what is value. Now you remember, value may be different for me, that is different for you. So this has to be documented, what is acceptable. I like create situationally specific processes. Different situations, I may have to change. And that's why Agile is so good. I have been in a lot of organizations and doing a lot of work with Agile, and I'm seeing how Agile fails. And it's not Agile fails, the people fail because they don't want to adapt. They believe this is the process and this is what you have to follow. And you know what happened, Prudence? Failure happened because you don't want to adapt. You don't want to change. COVID come, we're trying to get out of the pandemic, people trying for improvement, but you're still sticking to the old way of doing something. And you know what, that old way, it wasn't really working, but you're hiding behind COVID. A lot of organizations, you're hiding behind it now, and you just feel as if it was working. So when you think about Agile, think about you may have to change processes, and it's okay. It's okay. Prudence, you say you agreed. Great. What you agree on, feel free to type it in the chat, or you could just jump in the conversation. Chunk work to maximize value and gain feedback. Chunk work to maximize value and gain feedback. That means what to you? Chunk work, it means break it up. And that's why we keep saying every 2 to 4 weeks, what am I showing the customer? Now, this is a rule of thumb. This is what Agile goes according to. Now, of course, over the years and using project management, I would change it up, right? And do it in different ways. But you see what will work. This is saying every 2 to 4 weeks. Chunk it to maximize value and gain feedback. And what I want you to note too, it doesn't have to be that this is the way we're using it forever, you know. You have your traditional way of doing projects, which we call predictive, as a lot of you all know here on this call. You have predictive, and then you have what? You have agile. But you can also have Prudence hybrid, where you have to combine the two. We see a lot of that in construction projects too. You have to combine it. It can't be traditional predictive anymore, and it cannot be agile. So you combine. With doing value-driven delivery and agile, you reduce risk earlier. Why am I reducing risk earlier? Because if you're planning and you're executing every 2 to 4 weeks, you tend to see something, you could see something faster. Therefore, you're minimizing your risk. You deliver incrementally and you could get feedback, right? Deliver incrementally and get feedback. Examine value and early termination. Reduce the cost of change. Proactively reduce risks. Keep people informed. So all of this is keep people informed and consider value and risk in prioritization. So the first aspect of doing agile is look at value-driven delivery. Every 2 to 4 weeks, what am I showing my client? What feedback do I want from them? What is value? And value might be also considered in project management terms, benefits. Value is benefits to you. This is something that is lacking again in projects. You don't know a benefits management plan, or you don't know what the benefits are. And everybody thinks this is the benefit, but every member of the team is supposed to know that, you know, what are the benefits of doing this project, the value of doing the project, really. So value driven. Alwyn, you have any question you want to ask? Anything? Not yet. Second point is stakeholder engagement. This is agile too. Yeah, this is agile too. Right. Which is what? Why you have to do stakeholder engagement here? Who is a stakeholder? Anyone who has an interest in the project, anybody who has an interest in the project. So we are saying get the right stakeholders too. That's a story. Continuously engage people. Cement stakeholder involvement. When do I want you to get involved? So this, you look at the class here, look at this training session that we're doing here. When do I want you to get involved? You are the stakeholder. When do I want you to get involved? I'm saying get involved now, get involved at any point, type something in the chat. But that is reality. That's what you need to do in real life, in projects, you know. Get people involved, but know when you need to get them involved. Actively manage their interests. Same thing here in the classroom, in this learning environment here. I want to manage interest. I don't want people not to come and hear something. I want people to take it and go with it, you know. Now, Agile really does this well. Frequently discuss what is done, what done, D-O-N-E, looks like. You know, we might find every 2 to 4 weeks, right, where we finish something. But I might say, but that not finished. And then Alwyn will say, but that finished. Then Prudence get in the conversation. Then David, Chad, everybody gets in the conversation, and what is done, D-O-N-E, right? What must it look like? Now, I remember doing this facilities project by me, and done, D-O-N-E, I thought it finished because it looking finished to me, but everybody have a different point, right? Because every stakeholder, especially like in facilities, when you have to tile and clean and all those kind of MEPs, we will call it. And if you're doing it for the stakeholder, they'll say, but the tiles didn't go on. When it's done, D-O-N-E, is it that when we could move into the space, or is it when the tiles are finished that is considered done, or is that considered partially done? And what I have found too, Alwyn, when those things are not discussed with clients, depending on the industry, you get a project and you believe that the project is a success, but the project is not a success really. Well, it's a success according to whom. So understand what is done, D-O-N-E. Understand each particular phase and what it involves. Because a simple example with that one, of course, we had to move a lot of items or a lot of furniture out of the space in order to tile and to renovate. It was a renovation project. And on the side of the room there, all of the furniture was there, everything was there. So people were walking around and saying, but wait, now this place is looking good, this place is looking clean. But we couldn't use as a, the maintenance personnel there was saying, but it's a work in progress, it's a work in progress. But what we forgot, as I told them, this is a space, part of an organization. In the middle of it, it's part of an education, it was an education facility, it was a university. And persons are coming in, persons are walking, they're seeing it. Yes, you're telling them don't walk there. However, you could move some of the items and put it somewhere else that persons don't have to see it. It's all a matter of what is considered done, D-O-N-E, and partially done. Well, that was some of my learnings from that project. Show progress and capabilities. Now, that is important to stakeholders. And the same example, when they were walking on the corridor and they are still seeing cabinets and all of that there, they feel nothing is happening. They keep just seeing furniture outside. So you have to show progress. People have to be informed. Hey, every 2 to 4 weeks, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to see. Think about it in your projects, right? For certain types of projects, Prudence. Could it be sometimes, Alicia, you wait until the very end to show people, you're always hearing this all the time, and they may affect, remember, stakeholders affect your project, you know. They might come and say, but this is really done. This is looking like it's done. It's taking so long, right? And you telling them, especially the traditional way, you telling them now, but wait, we're still doing the job. Wait, it's not finished as yet. It's not finished as yet. But engaging people, letting them see something, collaboration, you know, I have seen how this really works better in certain industries, right? In facilities, if I use certain aspect, it works really, really good for stakeholder management, showing progress and capabilities. Candidly discuss estimates and projections. Yes, we don't like to do that, you know. We don't like to discuss the estimates. Why? Because we don't want people to know how long it will we plan to take if we go over. Remember too, industry, environment, where we are based, culture is something that plays on people. I remember asking maintenance again by me. I said, well, how long will this take? You have to move to the different site. How long will this take to do? You couldn't tell me, right? You were always going around the bush. This is about 10, 15 years ago. But I realized what the problem was. The problem is that they did not have that type of open environment where you could have discussed how long something is going to take. So obviously over the years that changed, because if I couldn't change it, then that means I fail in. So candidly discuss estimates and projections. Make people feel comfortable that they could discuss these things. These are some of the main points of Agile, stakeholder engagement. Look at this. With Agile, you have to boost team performance. Yeah, I'm thinking about mine in reality, you know. Create team norms collectively. Build cross-functional teams to do this. Promote generalizing specialists. You know, that's one of my favorite terms. generalizing specialists, where you may be able to function in different areas. There's a lot of discussion around that. If you are a person to tile, you can't do electrical or you can't do plumbing. So generalizing specialists is that if you know one trade, you should be able to understand and at least perform in different trades. So that's generalizing specialists, but there's a lot of work for that change to happen too. I mean, by me, they do it because I mean, there's over a period of time and we preach it to do. Spread agile values, principles, and terms. So I wanted people to learn more than one skill. Generalizing specialists, you mightn't be the subject matter expert in all of those areas now, Prudence, but you know what you will do, Alicia? You will know how to perform in all of these different categories. You may not be the SME, but you could perform in it. So spread, and that only came about because I started to talk about agile values and principles and terms. Promote self-organization. I am not telling you, or I don't want the maintenance manager to come and say, Alwyn, this is how you have to do the job. No, you all discuss how to do the job and you all come about with how the best way to do it. That can only happen because you might say, but that can't work. And I agree with you. It cannot work just like that. You have to have practices, you have to have HR and all these different things in organizations. Create a safe team environment. Research team and personal motivators. That's what Agile is. You have to know your people. That's why we always say project management is about psychology of people. Promote team consensus making. Team consensus is what is done, D-O-N-E. What do you have? Are we saying that this is finished at a point? Create team consensus. Reduce communication costs. What does that mean now? You could pick up the phone quickly and tell somebody. You could have a nice piece of technology. Remote now, everybody wherever you are. Shield the team from outside interruptions. Now, this is important for Agile. Every 2 to 4 weeks, you're time boxing. When you plan it out, you say 2 to 4 weeks, no interruptions. This is what you have to do. And that is, but you might argue and say, but I can't do that. You'll always have interruptions. And then I say, we didn't use the Agile. You didn't plan it. You might be able to say 2 to 4 weeks then. You might say every 1 week. These are the activities. This is giving you value. No interruptions. That's what you're doing. And when we mean no interruptions, you're not doing on any other thing and no other task. So that's why shorter sprints or shorter chunks of time to plan and execute. Because the longer you have, obviously you will have interruptions. Obviously you will have interruptions. So time box, the word is time boxing. You could do it, you could do it, definitely. Creating a united vision. Everybody come together, real nice and things like that. Work with a team to track velocity. Velocity is the speed. So every 2 to 4 weeks, are you going to do 10 things? 10 things every 2 to 4 weeks, it mightn't be that. You might do a little bit in the beginning, but then you find people start to work faster and you're bringing more stuff to do in 2 to 4 weeks. Remember, it's Agile and you could adapt. So you're not saying every 2 to 4 weeks, you're going to do 10 things in order to build a product, whatever it is. It might be 10 in the beginning, might be 25 in the second week, the second iteration. Adaptive planning, nothing is static. World is not static too. It's dynamic, things change. And when you plan it, that's what you do. But people have to be very open to change for this concept to work, right? When I first did it with my people 13 years ago in facilities that I wanted to test it, it was an utter failure. It was an utter failure because I was doing things in silos. Yeah, you get little things done, right? But of course, I really find it where it works very well now. But the reason it was a failure in the beginning always is I was trying to do it in pockets. I mean, my team alone, we alone doing Agile. They have been doing things for donkey years in a certain way. Of course, I needed to have more collaboration with them. I needed to explain the benefits of doing it. I needed to listen a lot more. So those were certain skills that well, not skills, but those were certain things that I didn't really do in the beginning, as how it has evolved over the years. So those were part of my retrospective. And then too, it was an industry that persons don't do agile. You have everything planned out and then you go and you execute. They preach long-term planning, long-term planning. And how I got around it, I say, you see, we failing all the time, projects not going according to plan, but you sit down in the room and you plan. Could we try it? That's how it worked. Because they saw the benefits. That's what I'm trying to say. They saw the benefits. Adaptive planning. Plan at multiple levels. Yes, plan. Involve the team and customer to engage them in planning. Manage expectations via actual results. Yeah, show people something. People need to see something. So like if I was just talking here, right? You might just have, I see nothing. Yeah, we visual people. You want to see a little slide deck. Tailor the process to project characteristics. Tailor the process to project characteristics. Update the plan based on project priorities. Update the plan. Yeah, it changes. Things change. Ensure estimates all everything to come about with a perfect estimate, if it's such a thing. Use ranges to estimate. Base projections on completion rates. Factor in diversions or outside work. That's what we're saying. You know, you have to think, could you do it in the 2 to 4 weeks? Right? You may have factors outside, especially in organizations. You may not be doing this only project, right? In facilities by me, we would have done about 20 different projects all at the same time. So I have to do proper resource management and loading. So I'm talking about facilities management in terms of using Agile, but technology, you will have a lot of technology and you use Agile for it. Agile really works the best in tech projects. It was designed for that. Now, a lot of people are looking at how you could do Agile in different industries. So if you want to know how it works perfect in what industry? Any technology implementation, it works like that. Every 2 to 4 weeks, you could actually show the client something value. You see, in construction, you have to do certain things first and you have to plan it out, right? But things change too. So adaptive planning. And then, of course, our other point in Agile is problem detection and resolution. What do you do with problem detection and resolution? Promote open team communications. Manage risk as a team. Yeah. Factor in impediments. Track risk visually. Communicate risk. Communicate risk. Problem detection and resolution. Continuous improvement is what Agile is about. Product, process, and people. And when you look at product, what is the product of every single project? Or you might say service too. If it's an IT, it might be a learning management system, might be ERP, whatever is the product that you have to use. If you're building a house, the product is the house. What do you do with continuous improvement here? You tailor the process to the project. So another example I did recently was a pilot project for development of a cocoa project, right? And what we did is it was a pilot, right? So we had a lot of training processes to follow. Of course, it's a pilot. I have to tailor it. I have to change certain things. Otherwise, I mean, it would have taken too long. So you came about with a 1-year training program to teach people about bean to bar, making cocoa into chocolate, cocoa to chocolate, how to export it, etc., etc. So it was about 4 different modules. However, you have to get what we refer to the processes to follow would have been like aquac and all those kind of things, right? And development of their processes. But this is something new. This was a short something. You don't know if you will continue with it. Why do you have to go into all these processes in the first year, right? So you tailor it for this specific project. And then we can say, okay, well, this project really was a success. We trained about 25 persons in cocoa production, and they were able to set up businesses, and they got their funding and all of that, and then they can export. So could we now do the second year, and we'll continue with the processes? Food for thought. Not everybody could appreciate that, right? Tailor the process to the project, because some people will say, no, 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 you have to finish it now, right? And all when you will know, when you don't adapt, things don't happen good. Improve based on retrospectives. And that is what this continuous improvement was for the cocoa project. Improve based on retrospective. So when we're doing it the next time, I might even say, I want to go with a different accreditation body, a different university. I want to go with a foreign university rather than doing it in, well, I'm based in Trinidad for those of us here on the call. So rather than going into Trinidad, right? We could go to another one. So improve based on retrospectives. Make team adjustments. Make team adjustments. You have to change. That's continuous improvement. I'm talking and I'm seeing a couple of persons in front of me in different organizations, and how they don't want to pivot. They don't want to change. They just don't want to change. I wonder why, right? Make team, but for every one person, there are more people who want to change, right? So make team adjustments. Eliminate waste. Think about that too. How much times we're trying to do something and you realize, but wait, now this is just, all these processes could have been eliminated. That is Agile for you, Agile really, if you get heavy into Agile, which I know a lot of people want to do it, you will eventually do Lean, which is Lean. So Agile and Lean is both kind of like family, family, cousins. So Agile management, Lean management, LEN. Space, and you also have design thinking. All of these things goes hand in hand. So eliminate the waste, communicate lessons learned. Communicate lessons learned. Do you do that? Do we have our retrospectives at the end? So every single project that I do, I love to do a lessons learned. I think I wait for the end to know the learnings, but I guess that's just how I am. Everything is to learn and learn and learn. So I can't wait to do the retrospectives and show people, hey, you see, I tell all of that. No, I don't say it like that. But communicate lessons learned. Do you do your retrospectives? And some, you know what I've realized too with me in my projects, it's called tacit knowledge, right? Tacit knowledge is that you take the material, which is explicit here, the book, and you try, because of your experience, you could really now improve on something. And you don't have to do it this way. You don't have to do it because the book says so. It's because of experience over the years and talking and networking with different professionals in the industry. And we form different things. So with the lessons learned now, at the end of every project, I may form a new template. Just a simple template. And then it's now part of, well, traditional project management. It's now part of your OPA. So one that I recently did was a decision register. I found that was lacking in a lot of projects. You don't, the decision that you make from the project every 2 to 4 weeks, you are not, you're not actioning it out. You're not seeing if the decision was good. You just say, well, that is the decision. Yeah, was that decision successful? Right? Was that decision successful? So those are my lessons. And my lessons learned is really now seeing if I could probably form something a little different, which in that example was a decision register. decision, you know, which I found was lacking. And that's what I'm trying to say, it was lacking. It didn't really have one in projects. So this is something. So work in pairs to spread knowledge and skills. That is continuous improvement. We don't want one person alone to do it. You have probably, so I did it a lot. Of course, you'll do it in course development. I'll do it a lot in because course development is, you'll have a peer reviewer, you will have two people working on the learning outcomes, what you should teach people as course development, how you'll develop the course. We do it in facilities all the time. Out of maintenance person, yes, but you must have two talent people who could actually learn from each other. We did a lot in technology projects, a lot in technology. You realize Agile is all about sharing too, you know, and learning and knowledge transfer. So you have to think, is the culture that you are part of, does it encourage that? And I'll always say, is the leader to do that? Is the leader to encourage the culture that they want for the organization? You're hearing the term Agile culture. I came out of a meeting about, I think it was about a couple of days ago. Yeah, last week Tuesday or something. And I really want to know these people understand the word culture, you know, and Agile culture. An Agile culture, but they're using the word agile, but they stick to the old processes. They stick to one person must know the work, and you're not really transferring the knowledge to other people. I tell them, I say, that is not agile. That is not agile. So continuous improvement, product, process, and people. Test improvement suggestions. Do you do that? Every 2 to 4 weeks, part of whatever project it is, whatever it is, say, okay, you all came out with this, right? It was a suggestion. Could that really work in the next 2 to 4 weeks? It might be a test in some type of roofing material for those of us here in that type of work. It might be, let me test the technology, the learning management system, a feature that one learning management system didn't have, but somebody in the team said, you know, this should be in. So you're testing the suggestions. You're talking it out, you're seeing if it will work. It doesn't mean to say that you will do it in this project. But when you encourage with Agile and doing this way, you encourage a way to think, a way to develop people. It's empowerment, testing. So continuous improvement, product, process, and people. Product, process, and people. So what are some of your takeaways? Because I know we talk about 50 minutes. Wow, so quickly it went. Prudence, what are some of your takeaways so far? Because I mean, we could have this conversation for about 5-6 hours again. Prudence, what do you think? Anything you want to share? You could put it on the chat. Anything you want to say? No, we'll hear you just now. Alicia? You're not hearing you. Who's MR? MR want to talk?
Yes,
Yeah.
good afternoon.
Good day. Afternoon.
No, I have to absorb all of this information. It's going quite interesting and enjoyable.
Are you in projects? Are you in projects? Are you in projects?
A bit of projects.
Okay.
A bit.
So what type, if you would like to share, what type you know about in projects?
More agricultural stuff.
Okay, great. Agricultural projects. And the traditional way of doing projects, it's different from the Agile way. So what is our main takeaway?
Well, so it's, why just concerned about it, like hindrances, things like that may stop the flow of projects running, but I know it can vary between finances being given to the project or the people who work in, because that's maybe sick or COVID, or it could be some natural disaster or just attitude problems. So just my concern is about getting a project completed and getting the people to work in a team. But that is something I probably have to work on differently.
To get them to work on a team. But you know, what you said there, right, in terms of, you are interested to know if something could change, right? That prevent the project from being a success, like cost and all of that.
Mm.
Think about it as we go more into projects, right? Could be if I do it every 2 to 4 weeks, I have a better control. I could see when my money stop in, when I could do what I could do. I could manage the risk a little better if I do it in those shorter sprints.
Well, it is so good if you're doing it privately, but when you're working with the government and they giving you the allotment to work with, that is really hard. That is what is
Yeah,
really
no,
hard.
you don't have to tell me twice. I understand culture more than anybody, right? But I see things changing because look at it, COVID come and people had to adapt. Otherwise, you're just going to fall through. You're just going to fall through. So, great point. Thanks for that. Thanks for that.
Right.
We had some Prudence is saying on the chat. So much info, right? I think that Agile project management is a more modern approach to the traditional approach of project management. Yeah, I will agree too. And Chad is saying, also, our organizations adapting more to the mindset in Trinidad and Tobago. I will say, yes, Chad, you are taking certain elements of it. What I've seen so far in IT, they have done it in IT, the whole thing. But a lot of times in other projects, you may not be saying it is agile, but you're using certain agile ways. So yes, you are adapting to it. You are adapting to it. It is a mindset. I love you use the word mindset. It is a mindset. Great. Good. Aldwin, anything you want to contribute? And then you say very interesting when you're running the ACP training, right? So we're running that in January, in the January, in the new year. I think at the ending of January. So good. Aldwin, anything you want to say in terms of your takeaways for Agile?
I don't know. I don't know if it's worthwhile sharing, but
Everything worthwhile. Tell us.
Well, I've never actually been a fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest in that I think what you tend to see happen is that people take something that is new and try to make it fashionable, right? So they talk, and you sort of alluded to it where it's the new thing on the block, and everybody's talking about it, but nobody actually understands what it is.
Yeah.
I think for me though, I have been practicing some of these things long before it was even a thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
So for me, some of the approaches that you've shared, to me, it's like, okay, but I've been doing this for the past 10, 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So why is it new? And that's why my only concern really is the thing that everybody sees it as this new approach, without fully understanding where the approach came from, what the rationale for it is, why it's actually important, because you pointed out that it's more applicable to IT projects. And I understand that, yes, you're right, because I understand where it came from and who actually wrote the manifesto which gave rise to this, right? And I agree. But I also agree with you in that take where well, I'm in the construction industry, and this does not work with it will not work in a large multi-million-dollar project, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with taking some of the positives from it and applying it, because not everything will work, because as you said, there are certain processes that cannot be dumped into a sprint, because it cannot, because if you're doing foundations, you can't say, well, okay, I'm going to start putting up steel, and you have no foundation on which you understand. So some activities, there's no negotiation. But I agree with like the thinking, the approaches, the communication, the psychology behind some of the approaches, and folding that into more traditional methods, rather than saying one is superior to the other, because there are definite benefits to this approach, providing that you're in a software or IT related environment, but they could also learn from the traditional environment as well, and vice versa. So it is an approach. I would encourage anybody to understand the fundamental principles as well. and understanding why it is what it is, rather than saying, okay, yeah, it's the new and latest style that we, the new shoes or the new dress or the new outfit that everybody wants to wear, without
But why are we
fully
in it?
without fully understanding the implications and the pros and the cons. Because everybody that has told me about it in the past couple of years, I just kind of dismiss them because again, it's fashionable and they
Yeah.
don't understand the principles. And I think understanding the principles are key. And you did a very decent job of highlighting a lot of them. But for most of us who are not familiar, I would suggest we spend a little bit more time understanding why and how. And and you mentioned doing these sessions in January, so it would be very good to actually get exposed to the underlying principles would drive the framework, because it is important understanding those foundational things as well.
Well said, Alvin. So definitely, as you said, anytime you want to know something, you have to know why, right? So that's why we have to understand the framework. We have to understand Agile is based on a manifesto, and Agile is based on values. Very, very, very true. So points that you could note is that when you look at this, and I am happy you said it too, because when you were looking at this, you realize, but there were certain elements that you have been using all the years. Why did now we're talking about Agile? So, well, you know how literature comes up and how things evolve over the years, and then you have a body of knowledge. And what we're hoping is that we will form our own body of knowledge in years to come, that all when people will follow us, right? So, those are some good points that you made. Agile may not work well in certain environments. Agile may have to be, you took learnings from the traditional way into the Agile way. Correct. You might have to do hybrid. Could it be that when you're running a project, you just look at certain elements of the Agile and you integrate it into how you know projects to run? And I say, yes, that's hybrid. Look at the model. But the key takeaways that I want you all to take from this conversation is that Agile 2 to 4 week sprints. Think about what you're doing and could it be done in that way? Could it be done in that way? 2 to 4 week sprints. What you're also looking at, everything you do is value. You're looking at engaging your stakeholder. You're looking at boosting team performance. You're looking at doing adaptive planning, problem detection and resolution, and continuous improvement. So every 2 to 4 weeks, so I start the project by having an overall map of everything. And then every 2 to 4 weeks, I plan and I execute something using, a lot of these tasks under these domains, we would say. So thank you all, everyone, for participating. Feel free if anybody would like to have any closing comments before we close off. Anything you would like to say, anything at all? Oh, I think everybody kind of closed off and talk already. Yeah, true, right. Okay, thanks, good. So great. Good presentation. God bless you too. So the next, as we continue with our lunch and learn sessions, next week we have Reiki mindfulness. We did a session already on that, but we have another one on Reiki for those of us who want to hear about it more. That's next week, Tuesday. So thank you all, everyone, for coming, spending time with us, lunch and learn, Agile all the way. Thanks again, and until we see each other, take care. Bye-bye. All the best. Signing off. Thank you. Alvin, bye. See you.
All right, take care.